I'm Corey Strock, and she's Lynette Hapgood.
Hello.
And we're today's hosts of the candidate forum. That very soon we're going to start with the LUSD candidates. All three of them are here in the building. That's incumbent Sharon Lampel, and then Dr. Atul Khanna and Colin Clements. Lynette, did you have anything you want to say before I leave the space?
Oh, you're not leaving?
Are we going to share?
Yeah. He's not leaving with me.
It's cool, Patrick. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
So as you can see, we are reading Mountain House Matters. Hope you all caught the latest edition of it. There was a lot of information in here. We were discussing some of our favorite articles. I'm sure you caught on. Also, candidate specials. If you're not able to get all the information we're going to provide you tonight, if you can't go back on and see the videos we taped earlier, please read. I believe they also have email addresses listed on here. Some of them have websites. Reach out to your favorite candidate. Reach out to the candidate you knew nothing about and ask them your own questions. We're just going to pull some ones that we have decided are probably important at this point. We've met with all the candidates. If you've watched our videos, you've seen that. We've asked some things that we saw on Facebook that parents have told us that Corey and I also feel are important topics in the community. But you are the community. We're not representing you tonight. We're representing ourselves. If you'd like to, feel free to Facebook anyone in the audience. I don't know if you can see the audience. And they will ask a question for you, so you don't actually have to be here. There's our wonderful audience.
Oh, audience pants again. Nice.
Everybody wave.
All we ask is that you remain respectful, be polite, understand that people are running for office, and we would like to have a nice, clean debate tonight, if possible.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Not debate. It's a difference.
Okay, so if you guys are ready, we're ready. Should we introduce our candidates now?
All right, let's do it. Who wants to be first?
All right.
Sharon Lampel. Sharon Lampel is going to be our first candidate in this direction.
I'm now going to
Yes, we have 3 chairs.
everybody can come up.
Well, yeah. They can all come at the same time, I guess.
Come on, guys.
All right, so Sharon Lampel is the first board member here to join us. She's an incumbent board member. She's been on the board for 2 years. She has over 30 years in education as a teacher, as a school administrator, a district office administrator, and other positions as well. She's also very skilled in policy development, employee union negotiations, and her, is that like a slogan?
No, it's what I do for a living.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
It says discipline with dignity,
Okay.
and I've worked in HR, so
I wasn't sure.
it's okay.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, next up we have
Oh, there's more on the
Colin
back? Oh, hold on, there was more on
Next
the
up we
back.
have
Oh.
Colin Clements.
I didn't know. All right. Next up we have Colin Clements. He is a CPA with over 20 years of experience in business and construction, focusing on developing and building communities and the schools that serve them. Colin has audited the City of Sacramento, the CA State Lottery, and the U.S. Department of Education. In addition, he served on several nonprofits here in town. He's been a board member of the Bethany, Cuesta, and Wickland School Foundations, as well as the Mountain House High School Athletic Booster Club, and he is a Mountain House Little League board member since 2010. There's nothing on the back.
There's nothing on the back.
And finally, we have Dr. Atul Khanna. He's a Mountain House resident since 2005. He is a former board member. You may remember him from the Lammersville Elementary School Board, which was there before our unification board. So he was involved in that. He's also a proud parent with 2 kids currently in the district, one in high school and one in a K-8.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having us.
Thank you for coming. So the format of tonight, before we get started, we're going to give each of you a different question. So listen to each other talk, please. You will not be rebutting each other. You're not going to have to formulate your own answer. If you agree with what someone is saying, feel free to go ahead and nod. If you disagree, that's fine. Just let them finish their response, okay? We're going to give you each 2 minutes. And you can speak to what you know, you can speak to what you don't know, you can tell us whatever you'd like, okay? So we will start on the end. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So you presently have a child in high school, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you also have a child in elementary school, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so your question is actually regarding technology in our schools. I know that you have a child who is dealing with the new Chromebooks that were dropped on the kids.
Yes.
Okay, so we've had a lot of parents voicing concerns about how much time their children are spending on them. Because one of us knows a lot about technology, that one of us is wondering if there's some kind of tracking program that maybe we can use, some way to find out how much time our kids are actually spending on these Chromebooks and what the benefit of that education is. If there is such a program, how do you feel about using it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I do have a high school, a freshman in high school, and she's always on her Chromebook. She's doing her homework. I have looked at comments on Facebook, and I know a lot of people aren't as happy as I am with it. But I do think that technology is the wave of the future. There is no job out there where you cannot use technology. As far as tracking the amount of time spent on that, I don't know if there's a way you can actually track it offhand, but you know, there is some concerns, you know, eye strain and health issues. People on Chromebooks, you know, like my daughter had her feet up in the air looking at her Chromebook, but so I do think there might be some issues with that. Again, I really like the technology. I help my daughter in her homework, and the tools and resources we have are incredible. It's not like the old days where you just sit in a classroom for 40 minutes and listen to the teacher talk. This is hands-on stuff, and it really makes a difference when you're trying to explain something to a totally different and abstract concept. When you can see a model of it on a computer, it's really quite impressive.
Thank you for your response. Ready, Colin?
Sure.
Okay, so you have a lot of experience helping out the school foundations, so you've been around our school sites. You also have some insight into the high school, right? Okay, so your question is regarding inequities within the schools. I know you've had a lot of experience working foundations, you know what they're working towards, you know that certain schools have certain programs, however they got there. So as a school board member, how do you think you can best address the inequities and hopefully make all of the K through 8 schools we have fair?
That's a really good question. I think that the equity is not necessarily defined by treating everyone the same, but by ensuring that the students and teachers of each school have the resources that they need. And you know, a good example of that is, you know, on the foundations, you know, one set of parents want a playground, and another set of parents might want something else. And I think that the important thing for the school board is to be active in the community, to not only ask the parents to come talk to them, but to roll up their sleeves and be involved in the community and the various organizations and really actively understand what the parents want, and then facilitate the schools, the principals, the teachers in what they need in order to be able to facilitate the needs and desires of the parents in that school and in that community.
Thank you for your response. Ready?
I think so.
Okay. So you're going to know a little bit about this. A lot of parents in the community are talking a lot about the MAP testing programs. They're also talking about the Common Core development. Good, bad, and different. Most parents who have kids in the school district realize that this is something new, and that a lot of teachers were charged with creating these things and finding the best resources for the students, parents, and themselves. So there were also questions concerning our first set of test scores. Because the teachers developed the curriculum, they're dropping it, the kids are following it, the kids are going to be tested on what a lot of parents would consider a best guess at what we think Common Core is supposed to be given to our children. How will this be addressed once we actually do get our test scores? And when this year is done, how will we be looking back? What lessons will we have learned, and how will we apply them going forward?
So let me clarify the question a little bit. You're telling me that parents think the teachers are just guessing at what they should be teaching?
Well, what we were told is that we chose not to purchase the curriculum, correct? The
There
teachers
is no
got it.
curriculum that matches the Common Core. There is
Absolutely.
nothing published.
So we are
So-
teaching
So we can choose
curriculum
the first.
that we,
Mhm.
yes.
Because it doesn't
That was
make
my
sense.
point, thank you.
So we're teaching curriculum that we created, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so we don't know what our children are going to be tested on.
we do.
Okay, how do we know what they're going to be tested on then?
It's
If there's no
stated in the
curriculum
Common Core
to give-
standards.
But if there's no curriculum to give to the children, how do we know what we're testing the children on?
So the teachers are developing lessons, and the RCD program that the district purchased that helps the teachers to design the curriculum to match the standards. So we went through practice tests last year that gave us kind of an idea. And it's just like the old standards, which were not Common Core, they were a little bit more specific. A teacher could look at the standards and say, okay, my students are going to be tested on these things here. I need to do what we call in the field of education backwards map. How am I going to get my kids here on such and such a date? So I start with the skills that they have. Now I need to figure out the timing of the lessons to get them to X. So they do know they don't know the test questions, obviously, but they should have an idea of the content because it's all stated in the Common Core standards from the state.
I guess I would ask them, if we did practice tests last year on the basic idea of the Common Core standards, are we going to be comparing this year's test results to like last year's?
No,
practice
no
tests?
one scores last year. That was a decision by the state, not a decision by the school district.
So we just took tests, but nobody gave us scores?
Yeah, the whole state.
Oh, all right.
That was not a decision by Lammersville.
Sure. Okay.
Ready? Okay, I'm gonna hit you with another technology question. You ready? Okay, so some of our schools have been chosen for pilot programs, so only certain classes, grade levels, etc., got the Chromebook to use as full functioning. So the children that do have the Chromebook opposed to the children who don't have the Chromebook, how do you think they're going to be affected once they enter the high school program, which is all technology all the time?
Well, I do have, my fifth grader actually has a Chromebook that she uses. It's part of the class. She is not allowed to take it home. It has to stay in the classroom. Unlike my high school, she could take it home. That's a very good question. You know, are we giving an unfair advantage of the kids that in certain classes that are using the Chromebook so that when they get to the high school level, they're already adept on using the Chromebook? I think it's a pilot program right now, and they're just piloting it out to see if the K through 8 kids can understand and use it, and then I think it's going to be rolled out to the rest of the entire school district, because that would be very unfair if you just have select classrooms having it. So I think it should be rolled out to the entire K through 8 population, so everybody has a fair advantage in the high school level.
All right, thank you. Ready? Let's talk about GATE. We all know kids excel in different things, right? They have different interests. Not everyone is standard. Chromebook doesn't work for everyone. What do you think the GATE program should encompass? Just in K through 8. What do you think would benefit these kids the most? And even if they're not excelling in math or science or English, do you think GATE should be offered to children that don't have the highest test score?
Can we expand that to enrichment programs,
Go
or do
ahead.
you want specifically on GATE?
It's your 2 minutes, sir. Do what you like.
I think that enrichment programs in general are very necessary, and I think that the people of our community have spoken to GATE, and they've made their desires for a robust enrichment program, which includes GATE, very clear. Personally, I do think that enrichment programs should focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, because our real goal is to matriculate our children and be able to get them into colleges and have them be successful in college and in the professional world beyond. But you can't only focus on STEM. The enrichment programs of music and band and all of those things are also required. So I think that we definitely have to have a more robust GATE program or enrichment program in general. It needs to be focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, but we also have to make sure that our kids are exposed to the softer enrichment programs as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I know all of you follow Facebook. If you don't comment, at least you're looking in, right? You want to see what parents are saying, what parents are thinking. Almost as effective as going out and asking them yourselves, right? I know from talking with Corey now, you've all learned other things maybe that parents are also interested in, right? Things that you may not have clued in on because you don't have a kid that has that need, or you don't have a kid that has that interest, or you don't have a kid in the school at all anymore. So what I'd like you guys to talk about, if you can, and we'll go around and each get a turn. You're going to go first, okay? I know you're already in office and you've already had priorities. But if you get elected again, what will your priority be? What are you going to champion for our kids?
So the first thing that we're currently working on is implementing some GATE programs, as you were talking about. We've had conversations at board meetings about GATE programs. We have to develop our GATE programs to meet the needs of our students. Like Colin said, every student is not the same. Every student is not academically focused. You also have the music and the arts. So a lot of people forget about the T in GATE, and the T is talent. It's not all academic. There's a huge push on STEM, as you mentioned, statewide, because that's where the jobs are. Besides implementing some sort of GATE programs, whether they are during the school day or after school, or some places even do it before school, it's continuing to grow the high school. We have 2 more grades to add. That's a lot more curriculum to develop, and a lot of staffing. And we're currently going through a teacher shortage statewide, believe it or not. So with my experience in school district human resources is to help the district move as quickly as we can to find the best teachers, because districts are literally fighting over teachers. And being in the valley, right next to Livermore, our salaries are lower than Livermore. For the valley, our salaries are pretty comparable, but if teachers live here, they can go over the hill and get a lot more money. So we've got to really concentrate on our recruitment efforts, because our kids deserve the best teachers.
Any questions?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I'd like to say that, we have a great district. We have a California Distinguished School. We have state-of-the-art high school. We have the top scorers in the entire county. So, the current board and the past boards have done a lot to accomplish that. And I think that we have 3 outstanding candidates, whoever gets elected here, their job is going to be enormous. We're not going to settle for second best. Our community is not going to settle for second best. To maintain the high standards we've created is going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of effort just to maintain what we have. Having said that, I don't think a board member should have any agenda items to bring to the board, because I think it's important that an effective board is 5 members who listen to all parties involved and make effective decisions. Not one board member who's trying to push his own personal agenda items or any other agenda items. So I really don't have an agenda.
Colin?
Lammersville School District is the highest performing school district in San Joaquin County. And I think we should, the school board and the district has mentioned that a lot, and they're very proud of that, and I think we should celebrate that for a moment. That is awesome, seriously. The common theme of my campaign has been focused on one item, which is enhanced communication between the school board, the district, and the community at large. And I think it's okay that that is the focus, because when you read Facebook and you read mhvillages.com, most of the comments stem not from a dissatisfaction with the quality of the education. It is the highest performing school district in San Joaquin County. It stems more from a lack of understanding of what's going on and why it's going on. And I think that enhanced communication would go a long ways towards solving that. I think that a good example of that is, and it's a small example, but it's a good example, the facilities planning. The people didn't understand, they knew something was happening, didn't understand what it was, started talking on Facebook, they started a petition, and then a board member said, hey, this is not the appropriate forum for this type of discussion. We actually have a facilities committee that meets. He neglected to tell the people what the date and time of the next meeting was in his Facebook post. And then I had people calling me as a candidate saying, hey, okay, I'm really interested in this. I know you're on all these boards and you're interested in it. When's the next meeting? And I said, I don't know, let's look on the website. We looked on the website, it wasn't there. And we called the district, and the district told us that they can't post the date and time until 72 hours before the meeting. And it's like, that's not true. The agenda has to be posted at least 72 hours before the meeting, but you can post the date and time for meetings as early as you want. And so it's things like that, updating the website with new meetings and things like that, that would inform the public and reduce a huge amount of frustration that the community has right now.
Okay. So next question is going to be for all of you as well. And we'll start with the tool. You ready? So parent engagement seems to be a problem around here. We do have really high-scoring children. We have really educated parents. We have parents who care a lot about their children's education, who engage, who walk on campus every day. Yet they don't talk to the board. They don't talk to administration. They don't talk to CSD, or sorry, LUSD, wrong board. They don't make themselves known. And so sometimes Facebook is the only place where you will hear what they're upset about, and sometimes it's to a boiling point. So as you had mentioned, communication. What do you think that you can do if you are elected to the board to bring these parents in, to encourage participation, to make it a safer environment for parents to speak out before it gets out of control?
Well, a couple of things. If you ask a parent to say a controversial issue at a board meeting, it's going to be a little intimidating to them. You know, if they're frustrated about something, you know, they don't want to go to a meeting and have a discussion with 5 board members and the superintendent and the assistant superintendent. It's quite an intimidating thing. So I think the answer to that is to reach out to these members and, you know, have a discussion in a non-intimidating fashion. And like Colin was saying, you know, they may not be aware of all the resources that are out there. And if you make them aware of the resources, I think it might be easier to appease their frustrations. The second thing I would say is, you know, we can have all these wonderful websites and you know, all these resources online, but a lot of times parents aren't aware of it. They don't have time to look at the website. I think effective communication would be sending things home with the children, because that they have to read. And you know, if there's a meeting for, you know, an open house to talk about certain topics, send a flyer home to the children. They're going to read that. They're not going. They may not look at the website, and they may not know the meeting dates, or they may not have time to attend the meeting dates. We're pretty much a commuter town, so a lot of people don't even get home till, you know, 7:38, and want to go to sleep, or have dinner and go to sleep and get up at 5:30 to go to work the next morning. So I think effective communication is the key, and you have to find out what works with our family members in our community.
Thank you. Yes.
So if I recall the question correctly, it was on getting the parents to be involved and actively communicate, engaged.
Yes. How do we engage our parents? How did you get engaged? Why?
That's a great question. I've discovered that parents of the community are very open with me because I serve on so many boards, and in the course of the campaign, the candidates have said, hey, come to me with problems, come to me with issues and all that, and I realized that the members of the community are already actively communicating with me, and I think that the biggest recommendation that I can give to any of the 5 board members is, you know what? If you roll up your sleeves and you're actively involved in our children's education, the parents are naturally going to gravitate towards you. They're naturally going to want to talk to you, and they're naturally going to be telling you what it is that they feel that their children needs and all of that, because that's what they've been doing with me. So I think that the best thing that the school board can do is, you know, roll up their sleeves and be actively involved in all of those. And I get that, you know, you can't be on the school board and on this board and on that board and on the other board, but just being out there, attending the events and all of that kind of stuff, instead of being I'm a school board member, come talk to me, I'm a member of the community. I'm your equal, right? It's when I'm in a board meeting, I have to make decisions, and some of them are pretty tough. But today, I'm just a community member, rolling up my sleeves right beside you.
Okay, so, and I have to agree with Dr. Khanna that, it can be very intimidating for parents to go to a board meeting and stand up at the podium, because we now film it, so we used to let them speak from their seats. Now they have to go to the podium, and there's this microphone in their face, and you have 5 people in authority positions staring at you. It is intimidating. I do board presentations at my job. That's intimidating. But I think going onto Facebook and explaining, and I have not done this yet, your question is a good one and it made me think of doing this, explaining why they're not hearing from me on those Facebook threads. That as a current board member, I need to be careful because people can interpret my answers as being the thought of the collective board. And I am not the collective board, I am one person. So please share with me, and then I will forward it as appropriate. But it might be a good idea for me to go on some of those Facebook threads and say, I just want you to know I'm reading this, I'm hearing you, I'm not going to comment. So thank you for asking the question and giving me that idea. The other thing to do is to reach out. We've all visited foundations and PTAs, but to go back to them after the election and say, you know, you don't have to worry about reprisals against your students. We'll come to these meetings, we can forward you to other parents who we have, I shouldn't say we, I have honored their confidentiality when they came to me, because a parent, was actually a grandparent, didn't want anything to go back to his granddaughter of concerns that he had in a specific classroom. So reaching out through the foundations and the organizations that Colin is involved in and saying to the parents, I'm here, okay? Talk to me, I'll follow up, but I'm not going to comment on Facebook. That's not the appropriate venue, but I am reading it.
Okay. So we're going to go in reverse order this time. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. So as a seated member of the board, I know that you speak a lot about the fact that the board votes and that typically it is a unanimous vote.
Yes.
And that you believe that that shows unity among the board. So as parents, we don't always agree. Right, Corey? We have differences of opinions. Right?
Sure.
Happens. Sorry about that.
I read Facebook.
You do. True.
Disagree.
And so I know for the two of us, we don't mind disagreeing. Right?
I mean, I don't like when anyone disagrees with me.
So a lot of parents in the community don't necessarily agree that a unanimous vote on everything is actually representative of the board members or even of the parents' best interest, those who have elected you. So I'd like you each to address this, your views on unanimous voting. Why you think it's important, why you think it's good, bad, indifferent, how you intend to vote if you get elected.
So it is good, it's bad, and it's indifferent.
Up to you.
Okay. I have been a dissenting vote more than once. I will try to listen to other board members' opinions, and if I think I agree with their opinions, but it was something that I hadn't thought of, I would change my vote, but I will stick to my base of knowledge in education and vote that way. A lot of issues, not issues, but more like, I'll use the example of job descriptions, because that's one thing that I have had changed several times before it came to the board. So my input is already on that document sometimes that comes to the board. Board policies, you hear for the first time, it comes, we're not voting on it, it's for input. So we discuss it, and then staff takes it back and includes all of our input, comes back, and then we vote. And that's an easy example of a 5-0 vote, because they've already heard us. I don't think we should always have a 5-0 vote. I'm not going to vote yes on something that I believe is wrong just to get a 5-0 vote. So.
I believe that there are certain times when a 5-0 vote is absolutely necessary. I don't think that you should hire a superintendent with a 3-2 vote. You have to compromise as a board. You have to give that superintendent the mandate that he or she needs to say the board is behind me 100% so I can do my job. And there are times like that where a 5-0 vote is absolutely necessary. However, in general, I believe that a robust discussion of the pros and cons of the issue is not only good, it's ultimately beneficial. It's okay to have dissenting opinions. The Supreme Court has it, Congress clearly has it, a school board can have it. I think that the important thing is, and to be honest, it's as you mentioned, it's a common thread in the discussions that I've had as I've been campaigning, is that when you look at the minutes for a school board meeting and like 90% of the decisions are 5-0 with no discussion. The members of the community are like, is it really that unanimous? Because if it is, do we really need 5 members on the school board? If all the decisions are that easy and there's really no dissension, then we could elect anyone. It really doesn't matter. And I think everybody out there knows that it's a lot more difficult than that. So my personal opinion, to sum it up, is there are certain times when a unanimous vote is absolutely critical. The school board has to hash it out and come to a unanimous decision, and then everybody has to fall in line and say, I support the superintendent, or I support this. But then other times, it's okay to have a dissenting opinion, like whether or not you send 6th grade cheerleaders to camp. It's okay to dissent if that's really how you feel.
Thank you.
Okay, so I agree in the sense that at certain times there is a need to have a mandatory 5-0 vote. I would say this, that it's not always necessary. There are, we have a school board members with different backgrounds. We have an educator, we have a police officer, we have a lawyer, and we have a rancher right now. We have different backgrounds. We're not going to have the same priorities all the time. I think the important thing for the school board is to have discussions, to be respectful to each other board members, parents and superintendents, teachers, and the community. Have respectful discussions, and we're not always going to agree, and I might be swayed over to your side, but you have to convince me. Likewise, I hope I can persuade you of my ideas, but if we don't agree, that's okay. You vote your way, I'll vote my way. I think that's what makes an effective board. You have to have different opinions. If everybody had the same opinion, everybody had, if there was 5 board members who were all doctors, you think we'd get anything accomplished? No. Just kidding. So,
I wouldn't be able to read anything anyway.
good point.